After an absolutely electric 2025 Formula One season, with 24 races of pure chaos, heartbreak and glory, kicking off under the Melbourne sun in March and exploding into a nail-biting title showdown under the Abu Dhabi floodlights in December, I've put together the definitive power ranking of the top 10 drivers. This ranking is based on a holistic evaluation of key performance metrics, qualifying dominance, consistent top 3 finishes, overall performance, overtakes, ability to engage in wheel-to-wheel battles, defend positions, and manage duels under pressure, and other factors like adaptability to conditions, tyre management, strategic execution, and contributions to team success. Points give context, but this ranking celebrates the drivers who delivered the most unforgettable drives, the ones who made 2025 a season we'll be talking about for years. Let's dive in. Special mention: Nico Hülkenberg. Before diving into the definitive top 10 drivers of 2025, I want to give a special mention to Nico Hülkenberg, who, despite not making the final ranking, absolutely deserves to be highlighted. The eternal midfield warrior achieved something historic in Silverstone, a podium from Q19, with a perfect switch to intermediates and masterful defense all the way to the flag, constant comebacks, regular points with a Sauber that was almost always the slowest car on the grid. At 38 years old, he proved once again why he's one of the most respected drivers in the paddock and why Audi signed him for the future. He doesn't grab headlines, but when you look at the details, few did so much with so little in 2025. Number 10. Carlos Sainz. And speaking of doing a lot with little, let's kick off the top 10 with Carlos Sainz, the king of overperformance. Many looked at him with pity when he moved from Ferrari to Williams, but he ended up far outperforming Hamilton at the Scuderia, proving the switch was a personal triumph. 2 epic podiums in a car that was often 7th to 8th, fastest in pure pace. Yes, it's true that the first half of the season was tough, nothing went as expected, with several grey weekends and visible frustration, but from summer onward, he strung together magnificent races that fully vindicated him. Number 9. Kimi Antonelli. And if Sainz showed what veterans can do with limited machinery, the next spot belongs to the complete opposite, a rookie who started his career with one of the best cars on the grid, Kimi Antonelli. 3 podiums in his debut year, Canada as the 3rd youngest ever, Brazil P2 and Las Vegas P3 after charging from P17. Multiple qualifying wins over Russell and from mid-season onward, often the faster Mercedes in race trim. Absolutely nobody expected a debutant to arrive this ready and with this much raw speed. Yes, he had clear rookie mistakes, crashes that caused retirements and grid penalties in Zandvoort and Austria. Yet he still finished 7th in the championship with 150 points, generational talent, and the feeling that this was just the appetizer. Number 8. Fernando Alonso. And if the future looks bright with rookies like Antonelli, the present still belongs to the veterans who refuse to step aside. Fernando Alonso, the evergreen champion who refuses to fade. P5 in Hungary, squeezing every slow corner out of the Aston Martin, P7 in Canada, and Qatar battling the bumps like in his glory days, always ahead of Stroll, sometimes by more than 20 seconds, and scoring points that seemed impossible, with a car rarely in the top 7. He consolidated his status as a top-tier driver despite an Aston Martin that was clearly transitional toward 2026, ending the year with strong feelings in Abu Dhabi. Number 7. Alex Albon. The next man on the list showed that quiet consistency can be just as valuable. Alex Albon, the quiet rock of the midfield. No podiums, no headlines, just relentless consistency. 4 P5s, Australia, Miami, Imola, Zandvoort. Regularly quicker than Sainz in practice, rarely beaten when the machinery was equal, and the main reason Williams jumped to 5th in constructors with 137 points. Calm, clean, professional to the bone. He never had the car for a flashy moment, but he squeezed every 10th out of the FW47 and became the most reliable midfielder on the grid, pure class without the spotlight. Number 6. Isack Hadjar. And if Albon proved that quiet consistency can be just as valuable in the midfield, the next spot goes to the rookie who made the loudest noise with even less machinery. Isack Hadjar. Rookie season and already a podium, started 4th in Zandvoort, inherited 3rd when Norris retired and defended it in the wet like a veteran, never putting a foot wrong. After that he became a points machine, almost always ahead of Lawson and regularly dragging the Racing Bulls into the top 10 with a car that rarely belonged there. Very few mistakes after the opening rounds, always calm in the pack fights, and never intimidated. That 2025 campaign earned him the big prize, a Red Bull seat alongside Verstappen for 2026. Sixth place here already feels conservative. The kid arrived and he's not going anywhere. Number 5. Charles Leclerc. The next driver did something even more impressive. Charles Leclerc, the 5th best driver of 2025, squeezed 7 podiums and 1 pole in Hungary with an SF25 that suffered brutal tyre degradation and balance issues almost every single weekend. Whenever the car offered even the smallest window, Leclerc was right there fighting for the top 3: Saudi Arabia, Monaco, Spain, Austria, Mexico, Belgium, and Austin. Very few unforced errors. Elite defending, and the constant impression that he was dragging the Scarlet car 2 or 3 tenths further up the grid than it had any right to be. That achievement becomes even more impressive when you look across the garage. Lewis Hamilton arrived at Maranello carrying the biggest hype in modern F1 history. 7-time world champion, record holder. The man expected to drag Ferrari back to glory. The reality was brutal. Only 2 laps led all year, 0 podiums, and a season-long struggle to get comfortable with the SF25. Leclerc didn't just beat him, he dominated the intra-team battle by a country mile in points, podiums, qualifying head-to-heads and race pace, experience, ice-cold race management, and the rare gift of making a difficult car look merely mediocre instead of terrible. In 2025 with the SF25, it wasn't quite enough to crack the top 4, but it was more than enough to keep him comfortably clear of the rest, and a long, long way ahead of the most decorated driver in the sport's history sitting in the sister car. That's why Leclerc ends the year 5th. While Hamilton, for the first time in his career, doesn't even come close to the top 10. Number 4. George Russell. The next spot goes to the driver who did something similar with a Mercedes that spent most of the year playing catch-up to the top 2 teams. George Russell was the undisputed boss of Mercedes throughout 2025. 2 untouchable victories, Canada with pole and total domination in the rain, and Singapore with a pace that left Verstappen more than 5 seconds behind. 9 podiums, 104 laps led, and whenever the W16 had anything to give, he put it right at the front. Perfect poles, rock-solid defenses, and virtually no mistakes. Only 2 genuinely bad weekends, Monaco with the penalty, and Silverstone, where the team's tyre gambles in the wet turned a strong weekend into a single point. Spoiled an otherwise brutally consistent season. Nobody ever questioned who ran that team. Russell was the anchor, the one who kept scoring points when the car had no right to be on the podium, and the one who dragged 2 wins out of a Mercedes that was rarely the fastest package on the grid. A perfect 10 in consistency and leadership. If they ever give him a car truly capable of winning the World Championship, nobody will be surprised when he does it. Number 3. Oscar Piastri. And with that, we finally reach the top 3. Starting with Oscar Piastri, who finished 3rd in the championship with 450 laps led, 7 wins, 6 poles, and 16 podiums. When the McLaren was the fastest car, he was normally the fastest driver. China, Bahrain, Spain, Belgium, and the Netherlands were weekends where he simply dominated. Poles, lights to flag wins, 0 mistakes. Belgium in the wet and Zandvoort were 2 of the most complete drives of the year. He was clinical and almost always flawless when the car was on it. The only things that stopped him from fighting for the title to the end were the 2 clashes with Norris, Canada and Singapore, the Las Vegas DSQ, and a couple of qualifying laps he threw away. At 24, he spent half the season trading blows with Verstappen and Norris on equal terms, and often coming out on top when the cars were close. Phenomenal year. 3rd best driver on the grid, full stop. Number 2. Lando Norris. The next spot goes to the man who actually took the crown, proving that consistency and maturity under fire can win championships even when perfection slips away once or twice. Lando Norris is the 2025 world champion, and nobody can take that away from him. He finished on the podium a record 18 times, scored the most points, and made the most of McLaren's long spell as the fastest car. 7 wins, 7 poles, Flawless weekends in Monaco, Spain, Silverstone, Hungary, Mexico and Brazil, with 2 absolute masterpieces, the wet weather masterclass at home in Silverstone and the double pole to win in the Brazilian deluge. He grew up in front of our eyes and defended the title in Abu Dhabi on older tyres against Leclerc to win it by just 2 points. Consistency king, fully deserved champion, yet when the McLaren wasn't clearly the best car or when he had to come from the back, the level dropped. 3 nightmare weekends, self-inflicted crashes with Piastri in Canada, engine failure while leading in Zandvoort, and several qualifying laps thrown away by his own mistakes. He was less lethal than Verstappen in mixed conditions or with an inferior package, and let a few banker wins slip through small errors that Max simply wouldn't make. Legitimate champion by points and consistency, no question, but in pure driving talent and ability to rise above the car underneath him, Lando was 1 step behind the Dutchman. Number 1. Max Verstappen. If you had to pick one name to define the 2025 season in terms of sheer driving brilliance, there is only one answer: Max Verstappen. He was, objectively, the standout driver of the 2025 season. With a Red Bull that was the 3rd or 4th fastest car for most of the year, he still led 454 laps, secured 8 pole positions and 8 race victories, several of them in circumstances where victory looked highly improbable: Japan, Imola, Monza, Azerbaijan, Las Vegas. His drive in Brazil, recovering from a pit lane start after qualifying P11 to finish on the podium, ranks among the finest in modern Formula One. He was also the only driver to achieve 10 consecutive podium finishes during the season, a streak of unrelenting consistency that underlined his dominance even when the car wasn't the quickest. He had only one clear off day, the incident with George Russell in Spain, that cost him composure and a penalty, and otherwise delivered almost flawless performances, consistently extracting far more from the RB21 than its raw pace suggested. Bahrain, China, Canada, among many others. After Monza, he trailed Piastri by 94 points and Norris by 63, yet staged one of the greatest comebacks ever seen to close the gap to just 2 points by season's end. Lando Norris enjoyed the advantage of the quickest car for the majority of the season and achieved greater overall podium consistency, but Verstappen demonstrated a higher peak level of performance, sharper racecraft under pressure, and an unmatched ability to capitalize on every opportunity presented. He lost the Drivers' Championship by a mere 2 points, yet those points were lost to mechanical issues, penalties, and occasional team mistakes, never to a drop in his own driving standards. In terms of pure driving ability, race management, and adaptability, Max Verstappen operated at a level above the rest throughout 2025. And there you have it, the definitive power ranking of the 2025 F1 drivers. A season that left us speechless, with a title decided by just 2 points, rookies breaking all the rules, and veterans proving that experience still counts for a lot. What do you think of the ranking? Do you agree with Max as the best driver of the year even though he didn't win the championship? Would you move anyone up or down? Drop it in the comments, hit like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more F1 content. See you in 2026. It's going to be even crazier. Until next time.